Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Open Mic, Writers in Their Own Words, the show where every episode I talk to writers or editors or agents, folks from the publishing game, to learn about them, the work they do, and hopefully how their experiences could help you on your own writing journey. Now, before I introduce my guest, I always like to take a moment and ask you to please hit the subscribe button if you have not already done so. Really make sure you don't miss a future episode. And if you did that and you wanted to leave me a nice review, that'd be great too. And really, more than that, I would love it if you just told one other person about the show, especially if they're interested in writing. I think they could learn an awful lot of stuff from the guests that come on the show, including my guest today. So I'm going to jump into it here with her a little bit because it's her second appearance on the open mic. You may have seen her first one, but I'm going to go back over it, a little bit of it now anyway, because she's the author of the highly acclaimed Lily Wong Ninja crime thriller series, which was just re-released in January through Penguin Random House. She's also the author of numerous short stories, the great standalone novel Dance Among the Flames, which came out in 2021. And she's going to discuss all of those here with us today, or at least the Lily Wong series. And specifically, she's going to share with us how that series got orphaned when the original publishing house closed its doors, and tell us a little bit about how the Ninja was given a second chance with a new publisher in the UK, which I'm really fascinated to hear about. And then, of course, we're going to talk a little bit about her new book, KAUA'I STORM, which will be out a little later this year. It's the first in a series, a brand new series for her, starring her new protagonist, and I hope I say this right, Ranger Makalani Pahukula. And if I didn't get that right, okay, I'm getting the thumbs up. I think I got it right, which, like I said, is going to debut in May. We're really excited about that. Please welcome back to the open mic, Tori Eldridge. Tori, how are you doing today?
Hey, Rich, I'm doing great. It's so fabulous to be here again. I love your show.
Great. Well, I appreciate that. Well, like I said, we have a lot to get to today. So, but let's start with the Lily Wong series. You were on the show previously when that was the main thing you were working on, and I love it. It's been a great series to follow, and it was, as I noted, highly acclaimed, lots of award nominations. It was one of the things that was you really uh, I I hate to use this. It kind of feels like a cliche term, but you were somewhat of a rising star in the crime thriller genre for a while, and then your publisher felt like very suddenly just shut down. And of course, Polis Books was the publisher for a lot of the great new and diverse voices, and of course that was also Agora, Polis Agora Books. A lot of the new and diverse voices in crime fiction. So. Yeah, that was kind of a blow, but you have found a new home for the Ninja and your other work. I wanted to, which is in the UK. I wanted to see if you could tell us a little bit about how that all came down and how you ended up with the new publisher.
Absolutely. Well, as you said, Jason Pinter at Polis and Chantel Ami Osmond, who spearheaded Agora Books, which was the diversity-focused crime fiction imprint, they were real champions, and so that was a real wonderful thing to have them, publish The Ninja Daughter and The Ninja's Blade, The Ninja Betrayed, The Ninja's Oath. And yeah, it surprised a lot of people in the industry. I saw it coming. The COVID, the pandemic, hit a lot of small publishers very hard. It definitely was the case with Polis Agora. By that time, Chantel had moved on to Amazon Publishing, Lake Union, and so it was just so much to be handled. So I was watching this, kind of going, oh, I don't know how this is happening with basically a one-man show. But they wanted, the fourth book, and they wanted to do it in hardcover, and so we did. And so The Ninja's Oath came out in, I don't remember even, 2022 or something like that, 23, 22. And, I could tell then that it wasn't, it didn't have the support The support wasn't there. There just wasn't enough resources, wasn't enough time, people, being able to put into it. So I was kind of watching that going, well, okay. So when the announcement came, I was like, all right, new opportunities, because that tends to be how I think, right? I used to have a quote on the homepage of my website that said, when in doubt, choose the most empowering perspective. And that's the way I live. I look at something and I go, okay, how can I look at this? What way can I look at this that is going to empower me, that is going to, motivate me, that's going to bring in new exciting things? So I went, all right, this is a chance to begin again with somebody new. So then the question was, who? So my agents, the Seymour agency, were reaching out. At the same time, Jason was also reaching out. And he had two publishers that were interested, and one of them was Datura Books. Datura Books is the crime fiction imprint of Angry Robot, which is a very well-established independent publishing house in the UK. And they wanted a curated list of the titles. And the Lily Wong series, the whole series, the 4-book series, was part of what they wanted. And what made me so excited about going with them was that they wanted to treat it as a front list release. Now, authors may not know the difference, backlist, front list. I'm sure, everybody's heard backlist. What a backlist means is all the work that you published before, right? So you're coming out with your new, sexy new book, right? And your backlist is everything you published before. And hopefully readers will fall in love with your new book and they'll go back and they'll, buy everything you've done before and read that as well. So that's called a backlist. Well, so if a publishing house acquires a backlist, what that basically means is, with pretty much no fanfare, it just transfers to them. They become the publishing house of record. The money goes through them. It goes to all the various people, yada, yada. That's what happens. From that point forward, that's who gets the money. And that's whose name is, listed as publisher, if you're on a platform. That's what it's like to get your backlist picked up. Datura Books, on the other hand, wanted to recover all the books. And they did this, by the way, with all the books that they acquired from Agora Books and Polis, not just mine. All the books they acquired, they gave them front list release, starting with the end of 2024 and all through 2025. And so what does that mean? That means it goes out to reviewers. It's released, my entire set was released on January 21st, 2025. It went to all the bookstagrammers. It was even on Barnes and Noble this past fall as a new book pre-order release. So it had all the bells and whistles that you would get the first time around. And the thing that was doubly exciting was it wasn't just happening in the US, it was happening for the first time for me in the UK. So that was really exciting that they're reaching out to this new market. And then even more exciting, just kept getting better and better and better. Their USA distribution was through Penguin Random House, which is really good, from what I can tell, a really good distributing arm, and booksellers are very happy about that. So that's what happened.
Well, that's really great to see that it has worked out that well for you because, I mean, I'm sure it was really, as you noted, it was stressful. You could see it coming and there's a lot of uncertainty there. So not only did you end up finding a really quality publisher and distributor, it seems like they also, and you noted it briefly, they redesigned the covers. And my understanding is before Polis closed, they did go with the fourth book as a hardcover and a redesign there. which looked really good. And so Datura not only not only got the whole series and made it a front list, they redesigned all the covers to go to be the with the same design as the fourth one, so that there was continuity
Yeah.
in the visual presentation as well. And it looks great. So maybe did you have a hand in that? Were you stunned, shocked, surprised, expected it? How did that play out?
They asked me. They said, "So, what do you think? Would you like new covers? We're in love with the fourth one. We'd love to do something that blended them all together." But it was entirely my choice. But I really liked the idea of blending them all together. You can tell I happen to have them here. This was the hardcover, okay, and this was the old first book. So you can see how different it is.
Yeah.
This was the old second book, which, by the way, matched the first book just fine, and the old third book, which match, these all go together. It's like that kindergarten thing. Which of these things don't go together? And that would be this. And this is the one that they loved. So I said, yeah, let's do it. Let's see what you got. And so here's what they came up with. Look at that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for
Whoa.
those of you who are only listening to this on the podcast, I'm sorry. This is one of those times it would be really great to go back and check out the YouTube show because the covers, this is exactly, I can tell you every author out there stresses over the cover of their book. In this day and age, it's so challenging to get people's attention. There's a million things vying for the consumer's uh, creative attentions. And when you have a great book cover, you're one step ahead of the game. So if you're watching the podcast, excuse me, if you're watching the YouTube show, you know that Tori is holding up the great new redesigned covers, and the old ones looked good. There was nothing wrong with the old ones, but these look really good, and they look
Thanks.
very modern. And yeah, and they do. There's a great cohesion 1 through 4 there. So
Well, let me kind of verbally kind of describe some of the differences. So each book has a primary color, right? So and it has a black image in the middle, kind of overtaking everything that gives a sense of what's going on. So the first one has a black dragon on yellow and red. The second one, the ninja's blade, has Lily's karambit blade on the front, and the colors are yellow and green. And the third one, and I asked, they asked me for, suggestions on what I wanted in the background, color ideas, image ideas. And this image here, this book is set in Hong Kong, and this is Hong Kong's state flower, their national flower, but it's a blackened, which is what was being put on flags during the pro-democracy struggle that was happening. And so that's there. And then, of course, the fourth book has the black scorpion, and it's more purple and pink. And so that's what dictated this new thing. The other thing that I love about the books is the heft of it, and the spine, as you can kind of see the difference of it. So, I really lucked out. I was really, really happy about it. I was really pleased with how much input I was asked for. That doesn't always happen. That
right.
happened with my first publisher, and I was very happy to see it happen again.
Uh, you know, since we're on that subject, before we leave that subject, you have a Substack newsletter, which is quite good for anyone wanting to keep up with Tori and general things in the writing world. You talk a little bit about the closure in one of your newsletters, and you laid out some things for maybe what a writer can expect, maybe some thoughts for them to keep in mind should it happen to them. And it's not that unusual of an occurrence. We just had Jason Powell on the show You know, his publisher. I mean, everybody that was with Polis lost their publisher. They had quite a list of people, but they're not. I mean, I don't want to pick on Polis at all because it happens, right? This is a
Yes.
very difficult industry to keep a publishing house alive in. That's why we've seen such a contraction of all of the. There used to be, many, many large houses, and now we always talk about the big five. Well, they've all been consolidated for a lot of reasons, and it's a very challenging industry. And I think everybody gave and still gives massive kudos to Jason Pinter and
Chantel May Osman.
yes, thank you
You're welcome.
for hanging in there with it for as long as they did and breaking as many new artists as they did with folks like Tori and others. So want to make sure I'm clear on that. But when something like this happens, I think your inclination is to feel completely lost. Like you're starting over from ground zero. You're Tom Hanks in Castaway. Share a little bit about how maybe what to expect from whether it's your rights and the book rights and all that kind of just give a little bit of what you know would be good for somebody to know if they find themselves in that situation.
Sure. Well, first off, you're able to get your rights back if you want them. Okay. Um, Understand that once you get your rights back, they will be taken off that other publisher's site. So my books were available, they were out there until Polis officially closed their doors. Had I gotten my rights back sooner, my books would not have been available at that point, right? So that's something to understand. And your agent can help you through that. And if you don't have an agent, Authors Guild can help you tremendously through all of that. So you have some options, right? Hey, you can self-publish. I know a lot of authors who have been orphaned, who have gotten all the rights back, sometimes redone their covers if they wanted to. Sometimes you can buy back, you can purchase your covers, the art if you want them. Sometimes you can even purchase the interior text if you want them, or you can have it redone on your own. And you can self-publish. That's an option. It wasn't an option I was up for. I just didn't really, I don't have the bandwidth. I didn't want to go there. And so, I told my agents that's not what I want to do. Let's find a home and see what happens. Now, the interesting thing happens is the house that's closing down, they take back, or they try to take back, all of their copies from booksellers and distributors, and then they offer it to you at an author rate, and then they recycle them. That's a nice way of saying they destroy your books. So you have an opportunity to buy those old copies any amount that you want, or not, whatever. The weird thing is, especially on Amazon, right? You can have a book that's no longer in print and you still see it on Amazon because somebody is selling some used copy for $345 or something silly like that. So they never disappear. And then sometimes booksellers don't turn theirs in. They just hang on to them. And so now they're still selling that. So that's kind of awkward. So I tell people, if you're going to get the new series, you want this series. Look how great it looks. I mean, it's a bookshelf face is so gorgeous. I have a lot of readers who are so in love with the series who are buying the new one sheerly for the sole reason of having it on their bookshelf. But you want to make sure that if you go for the Ninja Daughter, for instance, you're looking for the new title with a 2025 release from Datura Books, as opposed to the old, I didn't mean title, I meant cover, as opposed to the old cover that was published in, what was it, 2019, right? So that's a little awkward. There's nothing you can do about it. You just got to kind of roll with that. And you got to roll with everything, right? Again, it's that empowering perspective. This is how it is. So how am I going to roll with it? I can't change it. I just got to roll with it, and find the best slant on that, and that keeps the emotions in a positive place. You know. The other thing is there's a weird lag time between when the old one closes and your book supposedly is no longer available to attain. All the ebooks go off immediately. There are some print books out there. The audiobook continued to be out there the whole time because audiobooks have a different publisher. You know,
Oh, wow.
mine were with Blackstone. So they were always there. So I kept pushing the audiobook. Hey, you can still hear the audiobooks. No problem, right? And you can still find the paperbacks certain places. You just couldn't find the ebooks. And that happened all the way through January 21st when the new set was re-released. So that's a little awkward, but again, you can put a positive spin on that to just kind of take a breath from, promotion and just, post about life and this and what's going on and how it works. And then when things start getting going again, you have all those new things to post about again. Ooh, the new covers and the new this and the reviewer copies and the giveaways and it all happens again like it's fresh. At least it was for me because Dodora Books was doing, a more front list type of re-release. So that's kind of what goes on. If it's somebody taking it over with a backlist, that might happen faster, right? Between
Right.
the old side closing and the new side opening. Um, the only fanfare would be what you give it, but at least people could kind of buy the books more seamlessly, I guess.
Right. Right.
That's my assumption.
Well, let's talk about the new series because I think you're
Oh,
very deservedly very excited about that. Tell us all about KAUA'I Storm.
um, ooh, talk about a pretty cover.
Yeah,
I
that's great. Again, if you're watching the YouTube show, you're seeing Tori hold up the cover of the new book, which comes out in May, correct?
May 20th, 2025. Now, this new book is called KAUA'I Storm, and it's the first in my Ranger Makalani Pahukula mystery series. And you did a brilliant job in pronouncing that. The nice thing with Hawaiian is, if you just pronounce every vowel and every consonant you see, you're probably going to be okay. Um, so I'm excited about this book for so many reasons. Number one, the Lily Wong series paid homage to the Chinese and Norwegian parts of my heritage. And Kauai Storm really dives into my native Hawaiian roots. So my mom was Hawaiian Chinese from Maui. And before that, our family can trace back from, okay, so I was born in Honolulu, she was born in Maui. And then before that, we had Molokai. And then before that, North Kohala on the Big Island, Hawaii Island. To, I don't know, the early 1800s, right? Or early 1700s. I always get that confused. But so it was really important to me. So when I decided I was finally ready to write a book set in Hawaii, and it took a while. I really wanted to have some author maturity before I tackled this because although there have been wonderful, exciting, suspenseful books set in Hawaii, thrillers and mysteries and suspense novels set in Hawaii. If I was going to write one, if a Kanaka Maoli was going to write a book set in Hawaii, I felt it had to be a book that only a native Hawaiian could write, or would even want to write, because the Kanaka Maoli authors that I know of, most of them, they're writing literary fiction or they're writing fiction, sometimes um, that has kind of a mystical, or fantasy element. Most recently, Hula by Jasmine Iolani Hakes. Beautiful book, set on the Big Island. Contemporary, though, so not mystical or anything, but, more closer to contemporary fiction literary, not really, not as much genre. Um, but she's really the only one that I can think of, or historical. That's the other thing
Right.
that a lot of Native Hawaiians write historical fiction for good reason, right? So this was really important to me, and because I tend to write fast-paced, action-oriented books, I thought it was probably going to be that. So I set out to write an outdoorsy wilderness action mystery that was steeped in a multi-generational family, as most of my books are, and that dealt with issues that Native Hawaiians are facing today. So, so I'm super excited about this. The other thing that makes me so excited about it is it's being published by Thomas and Mercer, which is just mind blowing to me. I got to say, they are truly an author's publishing house. It's like night and day. It's astounding. And then the third thing that's so exciting is that my editor is Chantel Ami Osman, who edited the first three books and gave me my big first chance with The Ninja Daughter, The Ninja's Blade, and The Ninja Betrayed. Isn't that amazing? So we are reunited again to start my next book series. And that's just like, wow.
You know, that's great. Every bit of that is great, and congratulations on all of it. Every book, even those within a series, I think you would agree with this. They each have their own feel and their own character. And I don't mean characters in the book. The book itself has a feel to it, has a character to it. The way often the location or a setting is like a character, New York or Hawaii or DC or wherever. And that's for both the readers and for the author. That's what makes books unique. It doesn't matter if it's in a series or standalone. How is this book, the new book, KAUA'I Storm, different for you in comparison to what you've done before? And in terms of maybe the creative experience around it, maybe that you were writing it while all this other stuff was going on with your previous series, the feel of it all, the feeling you had when writing it. What for you really makes this book different? I'm not saying better or worse, just different and unique from any of your other books.
Well, first off, I agree wholeheartedly. Every one of my the Lily Wong series, Dance Among the Flames, the standalone, and this new Ranger Makalani Pahukula mystery series, they have their own voice. Um, if you know me well enough, you can see my writing in it. This mystery series my writing is a little bit closer to the Ninja Daughter, I mean to the Lily Wong series. Dance Among the Flames, the writing is very different. It's a very different kind of book. It's the writing is more lush. It's more oh gosh, I don't know. It's almost sexy, the language. I don't mean sex oriented, although there is that, but it's sensuous, right? It's a very sensuously written book, Dance Among the Flames. The Lily Wong series is not that at all, right? It's written in the first person. It's bam, bam, it's snappy, it moves along, it's got a lot of personality, it's very fast paced. So KAUA'I Storm, this new series, is written in third person, close third person. The majority of it is through the eyes of Ranger Makalani. Some of the point of views are through other characters as necessary, but it's so already that's a little different. The other thing is it is really rich in culture and tradition and language. I use a lot of Olelo Hawaii, the native Hawaiian language. I use that interspersed in this book. I have characters who speak Olelo Hawaii fluently that, come in there. So, I'll have some sentences in that. And as locals often do, we very frequently sprinkle Hawaiian words into English, kind of the way Spanglish does, right? I've never heard anybody call it, Hawaiianish, but whatever. Anyway, we do tend to do that, right? And then, of course, there's Pidgin English. Pidgin English is, the Creole language of Hawaii. And that not only brings in some Hawaiian language, it brings in some Japanese language and Chinese language and even Hispanic languages, and because of all the immigration that came in. And then there are all these words that were just kind of like changed and quirky that don't exist anywhere except in Hawaiian Pidgin English. Well, some of my characters speak Hawaiian Pidgin English to various degrees. Makalani does not. She speaks a little Olelo, but she doesn't tend to speak Pidgin, So it's an interesting thing. You read the book and all these characters come to life and they all hopefully sound very different. Some speak very formal English, some speak casual English, some speak a little bit Pidgin, some speak whole lot Pidgin, some speak, whole lot Pidgin with a lot of Olelo, and all of that gives it texture and culture and nuance. And then, of course, I'm also sprinkling in a lot of tradition and history because I said this was multi-generational, right? So, and I want to come back to that because that's an interesting part of process. But one of the big characters is Makalani's tutu, her 85-year-old grandmother. Makalani is a ranger in Oregon. And she's coming back to Kauai for her tutu's birthday. And this is when she finds that two of her cousins are missing, the family is divided, and their traditional homesteading way of life is at risk. So you get a lot of wisdom from the grandmother and really grounding Makalani in the proverbs, in the traditions, in the old ways, and things like that. I did the same thing with the Lily Wong series with the character of Sensei. Lily's Japanese sensei was also a great window and teacher for her of wisdom and helping her to unlock her own wisdom. So that kind of thing and generational stuff is like a theme for me. But even so, when you read this book, like there have been some early 5-star reviews out on NetGalley, and so many of them say, "Oh, this is a whole nother series, very different. Love it, very different." And then they go on describing it. And I personally, I like that. I want you to read the book, and I want the book to have a voice. I want my protagonist to have a voice. I want all the individual characters to have a voice. So that's really important to me. I love that about it.
Um, I understand you're already working on the second book in the new
Mhm.
series, and that so we know the first one's coming out in May. Um, Two questions here. Um, any little preview thoughts on the second book, and then will there be any more Lily Wong books, or is that one run its course?
Well, I'll start answering on the Lily Wong book. At the moment, this is a 4-book set. Whether I ever resurrect this, it would start in a different time. The 4 Lily Wong books all transpire within 3 months. So it's basically the summer and early fall of 2019. So if I ever were to pick it up again, and I don't have any plans to do that, it would be in whatever is contemporary for me when I pick it up. And I ended the 4th book in a way that allows for that. So that's the answer to that one. I closed it and I left it open. The same kind of a thing. But for all intents and purposes, it's a 4-book set. Now, the second book in the Ranger Makalani Pahukula series is set on the Big Island of Hawaii. And it is, I am now revising the finished draft. And in a couple of weeks, well, uh, probably by the time people are listening to this, I will already have sent it out to beta readers. And then I will do other work, probably working on essays and articles and stuff that I'll need for promoting KAUA'I STORM in the meanwhile, while I'm waiting to hear back, because you never want to just be sitting around, right? Waiting for people to respond. That's not an empowering thing to do. Don't ever do that. So while I'm waiting for that feedback, I'll have this other work to do. And then when I get that feedback, and it's usually from my agents and from experts, the second book deals with very specific kinds of things, and I have experts in those fields, and I'm going to want their feedback. That's always important to me. And then that will go on. Also, the other thing that I'm going to be doing right about the time folks are listening to this is I am going to be narrating KAUA'I STORM.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was invited by Brilliance Audio to audition to narrate my own book. Now, that's authors out there, you probably know this is hilarious. That little thump 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 is my cat, my son's cat, trying to get into a box. So if you know anything about a cat, they love boxes.
Yes.
All right. No, chill with no, honey. Chill with the box. She's so cute. I wish you could see her. Anyway, this is a real rare occurrence, unless the author is some big celebrity like, Robert Dugoni. He was asked to narrate his literary fiction. He wrote 2 literary fiction in between all the other stuff he writes. They were fabulous. And he narrated his own. But I had a career as an actor. So I acted on Broadway, I acted on television, I acted on film. I also did a lot of voiceovers. So I've done voiceover work. So I had a lot of chops, but I've never narrated my own novel. And so, like I said, KAUA'I STORM is a lot of Olelo Hawaii. So it's not just finding a narrator who can handle the pigeon and who can also voice a woman. Makalani is a 6-foot powerful woman. I mean, she has a substantive voice in my mind, right? But also who could handle the fluency of the Hawaiian. And I named, I think, 3 narrators I thought could handle it, and that I knew could handle it. And but I also put myself forward, and I said, here's my background. I'd be happy to give it a shot. So I was over the moon when I was asked to audition, and I was even more over the moon when they called and said, yes, you get to do this. And so I'm super excited.
Well, congratulations to you on that.
Thank you.
You answered it to some extent earlier, but I'll ask you maybe in a more direct way. All of this stuff that happened with the Lily Wong series, you've clearly landed on your feet with it, but I'm curious, was there a particular lesson that you took away from all of this upheaval and then the final settling down of everything with the Lily Wong series, or even maybe how it's impacted or influenced what's going on with the new series? Was there, a lesson that you feel you took away that you could share with people?
Sure. To begin with, it didn't feel like an upheaval to me. It felt like a golden opportunity. So that's a big difference. I had already, had a 2-book deal for Makalani Pahukula series, so I wasn't worried about what am I going to do next. What's my future? I was just, concerned with, okay, what do we do with this book? At least I think that was the timeline. Yeah, that was the timeline. Sometimes I get the timeline of my life a little mixed up, but I'm pretty sure that was what was going on. So, but if I had to say a lesson is, we love our books. They're not precious, and they're not the last thing we're ever going to write. Um, Sometimes it is, and it's your only book, and you just had this passion to write this book and you're done. That's a different story. Okay. In that case, it is precious. But if you want to look at a career, no matter how much you love your book, it's not precious. And there's another book you need to be writing and another book you need to be focusing on. And that's where the empowering perspective is going to be if you focus on that and move forward. And the other thing is, if something is a certain way, the faster I can accept that, if I can't change it, the faster I can accept it, the faster I can move forward.
Words of wisdom for anyone who deals with the ups and downs of the publishing industry, because there are many. Regardless of where you've been, the where you're going part is always an open question. So um, I like to end the show. Anyone who's been paying attention to the show and for any length of time knows I always end on this kind of a question. It's a fun question, I hope, where I get to play the omnipotent being that puts you together with one of the following three people. Who would you choose and why? There's always a little bit of a theme. You will probably pick up on it quickly. Um, Most people, well, maybe not, maybe not. The three people I'm going to offer you are the late actress Kelly Preston, the, I guess now late race car driver Danny Ungaius, and the still thankfully with us and always full of vim and vitality performer Bette Midler. I can put you together with
Wow.
one of
Oh,
those
wow.
three for whatever you want, dinner, drinks, a conversation, a hike, whatever it may be. Who would you choose?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Dang. Okay. Because Bette Midler, I mean, damn. Right. But I got to go with Kelly because I knew her when she was a kid. We went to Punahou together. She was in a couple classes below me. Her maiden name was Paulsis, so Kelly Paulsis. That's how I knew her, and she was a lovely gal, and she was just so sweet, and because she was a little bit younger, I graduated in the same year as Barack Obama, and so Kelly was what, 2 years before us, I think. So I didn't really get to know her that well. We had some conversations, and I think I choreographed something she danced in or something, if I'm not mistaken. But I didn't really get to know her. So I think because of that Punahou connection, I got to go with Kelly.
Awesome. Well, and
Bet you didn't expect that one, huh?
well, you never know, but because the theme was, if anyone cares to know, all three of those folks, of course, were born in in a couple of cases raised in Hawaii. Uh, I remember, I'm old enough to remember when Danny Ungaius was a big deal in Formula One racing, and was really really good. And of course, um, I forget what Lady M. Isn't that her name? Isn't that Bette Midler's nickname, Lady M?
I think you're probably right. Oh my
Something like
gosh,
that.
she's
Anyway,
so iconic.
yeah,
She's so
she's
iconic.
like a force of
Yeah,
nature.
if you
But
keep talking, I'm going to have to switch to Bet,
I honestly
but
did not know Kelly Preston was
so
from
hard.
Hawaii until I started researching this, and I said, "Oh gosh, I loved Kelly Preston." She was in a movie many, 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 many years ago, when I was first getting into the news game. I was actually in TV news at that time, and I was writing news for the overnight broadcast for a local station here in Northern California, and so I had to get up in the middle of the night and go into the office in the middle of the night and work until mid-morning. And so I would be up, you know, drinking coffee, trying to get awake at midnight. And there was all these, I would always watch some TV or something. But I remember watching a movie she was in with, oh, Tyne Daly's brother, Tim Daly, and it's called Spellbinder. And she plays somebody who essentially lures men into this to be sacrificed by this coven of witches. It's a great horror movie, I guess.
As is done.
I just gave up the plot, right? But
As
I'm
as
sorry,
will happen.
but
Yes.
she was fantastic, and I remember being watching that movie to the point where I was almost late for work because I couldn't tear away from watching this movie. And of course, she was in Jerry Maguire and others, and she was quite quite a gifted actress in her time.
Yeah.
And of course,
And back, back at Punahou at that age, she wasn't acting, which was really interesting.
yeah.
That happened with a lot of um that's happened with a lot of people that I went to school with. They weren't acting and then they went out to have acting careers, which is really interesting, or become president of the United States,
Right, right,
you
exactly.
know,
Become the leader of the
hey,
free
he
world.
wasn't in student council, so I don't know where that came from.
Things change. Well, Tori, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Always appreciate you coming on the show to talk about what you're doing and what your latest work is. And of course, we wish all nothing but success for the re-release of the Lily Wong series, and of course, the KAUA'I Storm book when it comes out in May. Please, if you have interest, and I think you should go online and pre-order it, get your copy ready so that you don't miss out on it. And we'll be watching to hear all the good stuff that comes with that. So
Oh, thanks so much, Mahalo. I appreciate it.
absolutely. Well, I'm going to leave you all with the same thing I always do, which is please, if you haven't done it, hit subscribe or just tell somebody that you heard the show and you liked it. Maybe they can join us the next time and learn something about this crazy endeavor that my agent's been trying to sell my latest manuscript for a year. I'm not a patient person, so my lesson for this year has been learning to be really patient. Not easy,
No,
but
it's not.
it's a grind, everything it is, but it's one we love and we wouldn't do anything different, right? That's how it is. But if that interests you or somebody you know, have them check out the show. This is a great way to get some great insight into this world. So we definitely appreciate that. And of course, the other thing I always leave you with, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, tomorrow is not promised to any of us. So please, whatever you do, make today count. Until next time, this has been Rich Eisen, and for my guest, Tori Eldridge, this has been the Open Mic, Writers in Their Own Words. We will see you next time.